Pastor Bua, she's with us on the line. Pastor Bua, good morning and welcome back to Radio Pulpit.
Good morning, Poti. Good morning to the listeners at home, and we thank our Father for this beautiful day.
We are talking about fasting, and this time around, not just fasting, but fasting that pleases God. Wow, what an interesting one. And I think it's about time we talk about such topics, because even prayer, there are prayers that I did mention to people before that even prayers, there are prayers that can be heard and the prayers that can't be heard. So is fasting. In other words, you can't just decide to fast and expect that your fasting will be accepted and it will be pleasing, like you say. But I would like to hear from you in terms of what's the word saying, and from which angle will we be approaching it?
Yes, but I want us to look at the word from Isaiah chapter 58, for it tells us what is proper fasting, what is the fasting that pleases God. Because we want to help the listeners who always ask, but I've been fasting, nothing is changing. I've been fasting, nothing is happening. I've been fasting, it looks like the Lord is not hearing me. What am I doing wrong? Now, I believe that this morning, the Lord wants to answer to those questions. The Lord wants to help somebody at home. The Lord wants to make us understand what is it that He requires from us. What is it that He expects from us, so that we receive answers for our prayers, so that we are not frustrated because of unanswered prayers. It may be that cannot be, this is not the only reason, but it might be the reason why your prayers are not yet answered. Maybe you are fasting the wrong way. Now this morning the Lord wants to guide you. This morning the Lord wants to make you understand, so that when you decide to go in a fast again, you do it the right way, so that it is pleasing to God. Because before it can please anyone else, it needs to please God, because He is the one that we are seeking. He is the one that we fast for. We are not doing it for ourselves. So let me read from Isaiah chapter 58. I will start reading it from verse 1, and we'll follow through just to hear exactly what the Lord is saying, so that we understand what is it that He expects from us. And He goes on to say, shout with the voice of a trumpet. Shout with the voice of a trumpet blast. Shout aloud. Don't be timid. This is what the word is saying. Shout aloud. Don't be timid. Tell my people Israel of their sins, yet they act so pious. Tell my people Israel of their sins, yet they act so pious. They come to the temple every day and seem delighted to learn about me. They act like a righteous nation. They act like a righteous nation that would never abandon the laws of its God. They ask me to take action on their behalf. They ask me to take action on their behalf, pretending they want to be near me. Pretending they want to be near me. I'm repeating some of these verses so that we hear exactly what the Lord is saying. They ask me to take action on their behalf, pretending they want to be near me. We have fasted before you, they say. Why aren't you impressed? We have been very hard on ourselves, and you don't even notice it. I will tell you why. I respond. It's because you are fasting to please yourself. Even while you fast, you keep oppressing your workers. What good is fasting when you keep on fighting and quarreling? This kind of fasting will never get you anywhere with me. You humble yourself by going through the motion of penance, bowing your head like reeds bending in the wind. You dress up in burlap and cover yourself with ashes. Is this what you call fasting? Do you really think this will please the Lord? No, this is the kind of fasting I want. Free those who are wrongly imprisoned. This is the kind of fasting I want. Free those who are wrongly imprisoned. Lighten the burden of those who work for you. Let the oppressed go free and remove the chains that bind people. Share your food with the hungry and give shelter to the homeless. Give clothes to those who need them, and do not hide from relatives who need your help. Then your salvation will come like the dawn, and your wounds will quickly heal. Then your salvation will come like the dawn, and your wounds will quickly heal. Your godliness will lead you forward, and the glory of the Lord will protect you from behind. Then when you call, the Lord will answer. Yes, I am here. He will quickly reply. Remove the heavy yoke of oppression. Stop pointing your finger and spreading vicious rumors. Feed the hungry and help those in trouble. Then your light will shine out from the darkness, and the darkness around you will be as bright as noon. The Lord will guide you continually, giving you water when you are dry and restoring your strength. You will be like a well-watered garden, like an ever-flowing spring. Some of you will rebuild the deserted ruins of your cities. Then you will be known as a rebuilder of walls and a restorer of homes. But that is what our Father is saying to us this morning, helping us understand fasting that is pleasing to Him. That is what He's saying this morning.
Wow. I think it summed everything up in a sense that it defined it differently from what we make it or what we think it's all about, in a sense that we focus more on this body and neglecting what the word is expecting of us. I mean, in a nutshell, it means that, it simply means, that's me interpreting it, it simply means that it's not all about you denying your body the food, but it's all about you walking in love. That can make a huge impact. What's the point of denying your body the food, but you do all these kinds of things?
Yes.
Or maybe it's a matter of you denying your body the food and do all the things that the word requires from you.
Exactly, buddy. You might as well eat if you are going to do all these things that He has listed here. If you are going to do all the wrong things, you do not care about those who are hungry, you do not care about those who are suffering, you do not care about those who are wrongly imprisoned, you do not care about even your workers. You oppress your workers. You do not pay them accordingly. You do not pay them what is expected and what you can afford. You take advantage of them, and yet you still go on out there. You proclaim a fast, and maybe you find that you are even a leader. You are the one that's proclaiming this fast, and yet in your organization, your employees are crying. Your employees are frustrated. Your employees cannot afford to live a normal life because of the salary that you give them. You take advantage of them. If that is you and you are a child of God, you might as well not fast, because the Lord will not be pleased with that fasting. And you cannot take advantage of those who have nothing just because they are at your mercy and still expect to fast and expect God to answer you. Also, you cannot go around being unkind and not forgiving and not loving people, and yet you expect God God to show you kindness and to show you mercy and give you his favor in everything that you do. Now, God Almighty is all about purity, but he loves it when our hearts have been cleansed and purified so that he can use us for his glory, so that the light that is in him can be in us and it can shine out there in the world, and people can see us for our good deed. And as they see us for our good deed, they then glorify God. But if we continue to live as wicked as we want to, and as this world does things, then God is not glorified. You know, it's amazing when you find people talk about Christians in organizations. I know that where I've once worked as well, there were believers, there were even men and women of God who were pastors and bishops who people did not even want to talk about. So don't tell me about that selfish woman of God, that so-called woman of God, that so-called man of God. That one is the one that gossips, is the one that brings people down, is the one that is always in the middle of these talks when there's something bad happening and something evil happening in the organization. You know, that way, that is exactly what God is against. And the very same people, when they leave the workplace, they go and look all holy around people and they start proclaiming a fast. But forgetting that with God, nothing is hidden. He sees exactly who we are. He's looking at us. He's looking at our motives when we do things, and we can never fool him. That is why this morning he wants us to really search our hearts and look at us. Do we really do what pleases God in everything that we do?
But do you really think that people care whether he's pleased with what we are doing or not? It looks like people are just doing these things for fun or without any expected, results. For instance, people are just praying. They don't even care whether their prayers are being answered or not, but they're just praying. And the same applies to fasting. But do you think that people of today really care whether their acts of prayer and fastings will be accepted or not?
I think, but it's clear with the way they do things and the way they live that they clearly do not care, and it's all a game for them. It's all a game that they play. I don't know what they're hoping to benefit out of that, but it takes us back to verse 2, when the Lord says they come to the temple every day and seem delighted to learn all about me. They seem delighted to learn about me. They act like a religious nation. They act. This is all an act for them. It is all pretending. It is all a game. So we need to really understand God can see when you are acting, when you are pretending, and when you think that you can fool him. God Almighty is clear in his word. He cannot be fooled by any of us.
And sometimes we are doing these things to be seen by people, and sometimes we are doing these things so that we can have positions in our churches, gatherings, in a sense that but as prayer warriors. And but you hardly see their prayer, the fruit of their prayers. And some will go to the extent of bragging about, how long they have fasted and dry fasting and all. I think maybe it's an issue of bragging rights sometimes.
It is an issue of bragging. It is an issue of wanting to prove to the people who we are, who we think we are, because we're not really that. If we are really acting, if we're really pretending, it is all about playing a game, like I said, Gudwam. And I don't think people really sit down when they get home and really look at what they are doing and how it is affecting their life and how it is affecting the people around them. So you misleading and deceiving people, you are killing them spiritually. You are doing doing no good for them at all, and it's also not going to help you. But I think people don't have time to sit down and reflect. All they want, like you just said, is to prove who they are. They want power. They want to be praised. They want the approval of man more than the approval of God, which is a shame, Budwam. And it's happening in most churches, and people do not have that spiritual eye to see it. And it is time that the Lord wants people to open their eyes and see who is really leading me and where is this person leading me. Because if you don't ask those questions, you will go down with them, because you're not really benefiting. You are not being fed the right things. And if you are not fed the right things, chances are you are not going to grow. You are going to be stagnant. And in your spiritual walk with the Lord, you won't see where you are going. It's time to clean up, like Jesus Christ came and cleansed the temple. That is what he's doing. But he's been speaking a lot. I know the Lord has been speaking, saying it is time to cleanse the church. He wants to expose the wickedness that is going on in the church, because he wants to save his people. And he's not going to allow anybody to continue acting and pretending, because it's not benefiting the church.
Pastor Sibokazi, we are talking about fasting, and the fasting that pleases God. And let's look at some of the points that we have before we see Valeli Selenda.
But the points that I have today, I want us to look at that word that says, seem delighted to learn. Let us not seem delighted. Let us be delighted to learn. Let us be delighted to learn, understanding what he says, that those who diligently seek me, they will find me. And he says they act like a righteous nation. Let us not act. God is not looking for actors. God is not looking for actors. He is looking for real people who are desperate to know him. Because once we are desperate to know him, we will find him. And when we find him, our lives will change. We will not be the same. We will not be stagnant. We will see the power of God working in our lives, and everyone else around us will see that, and their lives too will change just by them looking at how we live and how we have a good and solid relationship with our Father. And the Lord says we must look out for each other. We must look out for each other. We must watch out for those who are wrongly imprisoned. And when he says wrongly imprisoned, he does not necessarily talk about the physical prison. He's talking about spiritual prison. There are those who are chained up. There are those who are oppressed. There are those who are still bound because of lack of knowledge and being in the wrong places, led by the wrong leader. We must look out for those and go out and save them by speaking the truth. For he says, the truth of God, when you know it and once you know it, it is what will set you free. It is time to share our food with the hungry. It is time to give shelter to the homeless. It is time to clothe those who are in need. And it is time to show support for our relatives who are in need. But in so many families, there's no love, and yet the very same people, most of them go to church every weekend. But that one is not talking to that one, and no one is questioning that. And yet when it is time for fasting, people go in that fast. And these are the very same people who are not talking to each other. These are the same people who are aware that within the family, there are people who are not talking to each other. He says we must be peacemakers. Now, how do we continue with life as if there's nothing wrong and still expect our Father to receive us and answer our prayers? This morning, the Lord wants each and every one of us to really examine ourselves and come before God and cry and say, Father, forgive us. For we have really sinned. We have taken things for granted, and this is not going to benefit your church at all, and it is not going to benefit us. Once we come before him like that, our Father is merciful. Our Father is loving. He will forgive, and he will turn things around for us. And this world will become a better place. But we will not complain about prayers not being answered and about not knowing where we are, not knowing whether we are in the light or darkness. It will be clear for us. We will know we are in the light, for there will be light always in our lives, and there will be joy and peace and love, and everyone else will be happy. That is what I want us to know, program, this morning. The Lord has spoken. Let us listen. Let us sit down and examine our hearts.
Pastor Sibagazibua, thank you once again, ma'am. Please give us your contact details.
Thank you so much, Budwam. My number is 072 411 0203. That number again, 072 411 0203. And I am available on Facebook and YouTube as Sibagazibua, and that surname is BUWA. Budwam, ndiyabulela kakhulu. Thixabe nawe kusikelele.
Ndiyabulela nam siswam uThixo akusikelele nawe. Enkosi.